Welcome back to the WGL EU. We are getting ourselves ready for Game 2, and I can tell you right now, it's going to be nothing short of phenomenal. It's Kazna crew, your reigning champions, your favorites, I guess, out there. The community absolutely love these guys, up against Virtus.Pro, another massive team who reigned so dominant for so long. Not too far from now, these two will be clashing head-to-head. But in case you did miss that first game, we had a great showing from New Mercy, really pushing Wusa pretty damn far. Yeah, they were really good. It was a 5-4 victory towards Wusa, so a very close game indeed, and a great way to start the season. Big props to New Mercy for coming in with some great strategies, but I think at the end Wusa just had a little bit more confidence on a couple of rounds, and it definitely helped them out. They went in for that kind of grand finals all-in approach, while New Mercy went to a little bit more classic style. But yeah, we got a very powerhouse-hungry match up next. I'm so ready for this. You guys out there at home have been going crazy already, and I love seeing that. Melly, they must be so hyped for this game.
Absolutely, but do you remember times where the team vote was always over 90% in favor for Virtus.Pro?
I remember those times.
That seems to be over.
The Virtus.Pro reign is done.
Yeah, it seems like. I mean, 64% for Virtus.Pro, which is compared
good
to like every other match day of the past season, or even the grand finals, is really low. We barely seen something beneath 90%. But well, people, as you might witnessed, Virtus.Pro isn't unbeatable anymore. A lot of teams done that already, and I think they're trying to repeat that. And well, 36% for Kazna crew.
It's pretty good. People out there, they're starting to turn. The tides are turning.
Exactly.
Virtus.Pro aren't, the one and only at the moment. Before, it was like during the online phases, they did a whole season being unbeaten. Let's not forget that. Virtus.Pro were pretty incredible at one point. And then it just slowly started to slip. It just slowly went away from them. And believe it or not, before they could blink, it was like, well, Kazna just picked up the offline finals. What's just happened here? It just suddenly spun on its head. But do you think this is going to be another Virtus.Pro reign of dominance through the online phase, or is it have times changed? Yeah, offline finals are always unpredictable, and you can't really you can't really predict 100% of the team's going to win it based on the online stage. But I think with New Nexia and Coca-Cola, it's going to take them a little bit more time to get into it. I mean, they didn't have any changes last season, but now with Vorsic out, Delight out, Krot, Entex out, all those players, there's some pretty substantial changes, but I think it just depends on the motivation of Virtus.Pro, because I know for a fact, talking to Kusok at the grand finals in Warsaw, that they weren't all too motivated, and it was that motivation despite the boot camp that got them that 7th place. A respectable outing for them, but they should be a top 3 team, full stop. It was a single elimination bracket, so it's pretty brutal, but I think they can still be considered to be a top 3 online phase team, and I think they will do another very good season and probably get first as well. What about this game then? If you're going to say they're going to be good, how good? Because Kazna, I guess, are one of their biggest opponents, right? They're one of the top 3 opponents. We got Team Supreme, we got Kazna Crew, we got Virtus.Pro. But I think it just depends on how much training. I mean, for Kazna, we got the biggest change being FKK Schnitzel coming in from Wusa from Penta to Virtus.Pro, and Virtus.Pro, Kazna Crew. So he's going to be a big factor. He's a very, very solid player, extremely good, especially in that T49. And depends if they use it or not. But apart from that, the team is pretty much the same as they had the grand finals. I'm going to put my money towards Virtus.Pro because I think their previous results are very consistent and very undisputed. They're just fantastic in these online phases. Certainly are. You guys at home, your thoughts are still starting to hedge in favor, I guess, or very slowly going favor to the one and only Kazna crew, but slowly compared to before. I don't know, I'm clutching at straws there. It's still Virtus.Pro's vote, but you guys are slowly getting faith, and I think if this game goes well for Kazna, those votes will really start to change. But as you said, it's all about that prep in between the seasons, in between those grand finals and all that good stuff. Have they kept playing? Have they been regimented with their practice? Or have they, had a little bit of a time off? Have they tried to take a little bit of back seat? All these factors are going to really come into place, and the rosters are just star-studded between these two. And I personally can't wait to see them go down. But now maps in mind, we know what the maps are. Who's got the favor on these?
Well, we've got first map is going to be Mines, and then we've got Steps after that. Yeah. So obviously we haven't seen Steps so far, but we saw it as the most common map in Season 5. Mines we've seen already seems to be pretty balanced. It's a very gamble-heavy map, I think we can safely say, even at this early stage. But for me, I mean, Virtus.Pro in previous seasons, 742. They weren't the strongest team on Mines. I think they struggled a little bit. I remember they did win a season with it, though. I think it was Season 3 where they actually managed to win on Mines. But Kazna's kind of flair and ability to bring out new tactics might help them on Mines.
I agree.
And Steps is going to be, again, a map which we've seen lots for, and it's just going to be about how you can play the standard tactics and how well you've polished yourself in that off-season.
And of course, if required as the first game, the tiebreaker map will be Himmelsdorf. I think classically you'd say probably one of Virtus.Pro's strongholds. It's been a map they've been very good at. There's been very few teams to consistently challenge them, not just upset them on a one-off. They are extraordinary on it. So if Kazna's going to pick up the win, I feel it's going to have to be in the regular first 2 maps. If it goes to a third, I think that personally Virtus.Pro will lock it down. But anyway, guys, enough of us once again. It's time to turn our attention towards the teams. And the first map is going to be Mines. Maybe. So, we are now into it, and you said that really we'd expect Kazna to come out with the ingenious strategies. I'm already seeing something a little different from Virtus.Pro, but just so you know, on the defense, it'll be Virtus.Pro. On the attack, it's Kazna. Take us into this one. Yeah,
so we've got FKK from Wusa in that T54 with Nexus, Eurolfish, Yizny, and Vetso playing alongside him in the T54 lightweight. So going straight for the hill, I think that's going to be pretty standard. Oh, Eurolfish taking a lot of damage. Just some good early exchange for Virtus.Pro, but I know for a fact that when you're playing for that hill, you're always going to take some damage from attacking tanks. So we've got Kusok in the M44. I guess that's the biggest surprise. But then again, when we saw this in 742, this map, we saw a lot of teams pick up the Su-26, the Sturmpanzer Bisons as well, which kind of guarantees them a little damage from behind.
And those IS-3s are just rolling up the hill as well. The T-54s seem to be pushing off it, so they might just have to play, a little bit from the back lines on Kazna. They're not overstaying their welcome on the hill. They're an experienced team, but they're not causing much damage to those IS-3s either. A couple of shells coming through, but there's still a great deal of HP with Virtus.Pro here.
Yeah, it's very hard to do damage against the IS-3s in general. The side armor just bounces the T-54's low caliber shells very, very easily. And 240 odd penetration on them, and it's given Virtus.Pro a great high ground, and they just carry on pushing forwards with those IS-3s. It's going to be very hard for Kazna crew to get back into this game. Virtus.Pro is just basically essentially bullied Kazna crew off the hill, and if they carry on keeping this pressure up and maybe even resetting the fight a little bit, Kazna crew will just find their hit points just dwindle down.
And we're seeing Elian trying to take on Goritza. You'd say this should be Elian's battle, but the 251 is pretty darn strong, and actually Goritza will come out on top on that one. Now Hyber going to try and make the most of it, but Povel's there, and you can't just take down one member of Virtus.Pro. Hyber sadly missing the shot on the move, almost hitting Goritza, and goes back in for seconds. He'll get that, but now Povel's knocking at the door, and Povel isn't happy about this. There's Crossfire, though, coming through, and I think Nexus actually just hit Hyber.
It's pretty funny that Hyber's playing the LTTB, because I remember talking to them, they didn't think the LTTB was a great tank, and obviously the team captain is playing it, but Povel's got to be careful because that tank does do a lot of damage.
Yeah, Hyber's going to come around. He's going to have a shell soon available. He's got Vetso with him now. Povel's backing out of it. He knows that he's down to a one-shot. Eurolfish low as well, but there we go. Povel just slips up, misses the shot. Vetso won't, and now Just Cause keeping Schnitzel and Nexus at bay. It's weird seeing Schnitzel with the Kazna crew tagged behind him, but certainly doing well by it, and as we can see, the HP's not too far apart now.
And Just Cause is almost dead, but big damage coming out from the IS-3s.
Nice work.
FKK Schnitzel definitely hitting those shells. Now, Yizny's on the hill. He's going to just have to keep those IS-3s busy while Schnitzel, Nexus, and Vetso do head back around. They got support from Hyber, but I don't think they actually want to have him push off, as Bishop just wants to get some directional damage.
You can't blame him. Yizny does have a lot of HP left. He's one of the players who did have a little more than the others, because bear in mind, Schnitzel's almost a one-shot, Hyber's low, Eurolfish is down to nothing. they're going to start focusing on towards Yizny. And as I said, why not? He's down to a one-shot almost himself here, and Bishop may be looking for this one, and it will be Bishop to find it. Yizny goes down, and Kazna's numbers starting to dwindle. They're holding on, but the HP is starting to favor a little towards the Virtus.Pro side. But here we go. Kusok finds Hyber. It's Coca-Cola to find Schnitzel, and now only 3 remain for Kazna up against the 2 of Virtus.Pro. This is going all the way here. If Eurofish can do some damage on that HP, that's fantastic. Vetso challenging down Bishop. It's a brave move, but he knows Bishop doesn't have that shell yet. About 2 seconds remain until he can make it, but Vetso denies it. Perfect play then, and now Kusok 1v3. I don't know what he can do here, but it's going to have to be something close to a miracle.
Yeah, Kusok has not done much this battle on the M44. He's been in that position the whole time, trying to do damage onto Kazna, who have been very dynamic. I mean, considering Kazna has 3 tanks left, there's not a lot of difference between hit points between these two, but I think this is Kazna's game, despite a point which I thought they'd almost certainly lost it. They had those positions and they were just absolutely fantastic, but see if Kusok can at least pick up a cheeky kill.
It'll take a little bit of brilliance on this one. We know that can happen, but not today. Vetso's going to close it out on round 1, going over to Kazna crew. That is not something you'll see every day, especially on the opening round of a brand new season. Virtus.Pro like to stamp their authority straight down on it. But we saw Kazna coming out looking good. Now, I thought that was Virtus.Pro's game. It looked almost dire for Kazna. They were down on HP. They were almost down in numbers. Those IS3s had the higher ground. You had everything in Virtus.Pro's court. What changed it?
Well, I think the southern attack was a big difference there. The kind of money maker for Kazna crew. Some mistakes from Virtus.Pro. I mean, Karitz went down. He managed to take down Elian. Yep. But then came in Pavel, who also got taken down, this time by Vetso, because Hyber. So, you know, 2 versus 2, and Kazna crew came out, 3 versus 2, Kazna crew came out with 2 tanks alive. So they had great work there. Also, the IS3s didn't push off the hill. They were very cautious. I think they could have just pushed onto FKK Schnitzel and Nexus, but they didn't. They stayed on the hill, and then it allowed Kazna to have the southern bottom of the hill and the northern bottom of the hill, and they managed to just close in those IS3s, drag them around a little bit, and managed to take them down. So great work from Kazna all around. Very, very close game indeed, and I have to say Hyber and Vetso definitely my men of the match there, especially Hyber staying alive in that LTTB and doing some good work, whilst Kusok on the other hand didn't do too much in the M44.
Yeah, Kusok missing a couple of quite important shots as well. We saw it, you know, in very clear form, so hopefully they can kind of fix any of those problems, because Virtus.Pro look human. They look like a team who could actually do well. They look like a team who know what they're doing here, and I just kind of hope that Kazna can keep doing this. I want to see Kazna really performing here. I thought this was going to be a really shaky start. I thought, Virtus.Pro come out and they look good. They look solid. I thought it's going to be the same old. But it's good to see Kazna having that kind of fight that they took to those offline finals, still being present here in the online phase. And
they seem to have added a little bit more substance to their style. And I think maybe that'll even come into the equation where Virtus.Pro is a little bit afraid of Kazna crew, considering the stomping they gave them on Prokhorovka or Muravanka in that semi-finals match, and of course Bulgaria. So, you know, Virtus.Pro first round gets taken off. I mean, we could count the amount of rounds Virtus.Pro lost in Season 5 in the online stage on 2 hands. Even one hand, maybe. So if Kazna can continue this, they certainly have a good start to their season. Maybe even the best possible start to the season. But I don't think there's massive mistakes from Virtus. I think Kazna just outplayed them in many respects. And Karitz as well, playing that 2-5-1 was a little bit dubious. But he did a good job against Elian, so fair enough to him. And I am impressed that he took down Elian, to be fair. You'd say Elian is pretty much one of the better players even, should I say. So Elian going down, maybe a little bit of foreshadowing. He's not on form just yet. I'm not too sure. I think we can kind of keep our eyes on that going forward. But all in all, we are just waiting on one of the players to get themselves ready for this. Obviously a big game. No one wants to go into it, not warmed up, not prepared, not feeling comfortable. But Melly, people at home, how are they feeling about this one?
I don't know what's happening. I mean, I was just refreshing the vote results, and I thought it was a bug in the system, but the vote results changed, so it's now 62% for Kazna crew. So
wow,
that kind of confused me a bit.
I saw your face. You were like, Huh?
What is wrong with
this?
her?
Yeah, it was just like, is Melly okay?
I was just smashing my F5 button like, what is happening? Is that right? Can I communicate it to the other world? And I pretty much can. People, what's happening? Do you really think Kazna crew can take it? Well, if you ask me, there is a slight possibility after we saw what we saw in the first round.
For sure.
But I don't think that Virtus.Pro will just let it happen.
Surely not. They're not going to roll over and just, well, they seem good. Virtus.Pro always has that little bit more fight here, and I don't know what to make of it so far. It's the first time I've really seen Kazna showing that extra 10%, because back in the day, I'd say it was mostly Virtus.Pro and Schoolbus that always had that extra layer they could go to, that kind of, okay, well, the initial move didn't work, we still have this. And it was always those two who prevailed with that sort of play, but it seems that Kazna have that locked down here. Yeah,
Kazna just are a better team. I was always worried that Kazna crew weren't going to continue to Season 6, Season 1, 2015. As as a top contender, because they've been so inconsistent in the past, but they're looking good in this first round. But I feel sorry for them in their grand finals match where they lost against EL Gaming on Cliff. They got absolutely obliterated. They didn't even know what hit them in that match. And I think if they won that one, they would have given Hellraisers a great run for their money in the finals.
Yeah.
Whereas I think EL Gaming's, I hate to go back to the grand finals, but well, I'd love to actually, but EL Gaming kind of their bag of tricks ran out in that last match against Hellraisers where they won 7-1.
But let's be honest here, Kazna have no one to blame but themselves in that game as well. And I remember going outside after the game. We were kind of done and dusted for a bit. We went outside to get some fresh air, and those guys were absolutely devastated because they knew they'd made errors. Because EL Gaming were great. They had this very stylistic play that only really they used. It was quite aggressive. It was quite different. It was very in your face. This roaming squad, almost EPS style, if you wanted to find an EU comparison. But Kazna just didn't seem to wake up in that moment. They'd been so on point, so phenomenal up to them. We all had hopes. I think everyone who was watching that remembers we all had hopes saying they could do this. This could be their grand finals. This could be phenomenal. And they let it slip themselves. So I think they're coming back into this, and hopefully they've taken that sort of wake up to heart, saying we can't take any game lightly now. Yeah,
they need to be planning for every contingency,
sure.
Aggressive or not aggressive. I'm even a little bit surprised that we haven't seen more aggressive play in these first few matches, because the grand finals meta was like all aggression, and now it's it's back to that kind of strategic style. Of course, we'll see if that continues throughout the season, but so far it's been pretty great.
So you guys at home, once again, I call upon you to start talking to us on Twitter. Keep Melly busy, because she sits there, she's like, God, no one talks to me anymore. Why don't I have any friends? And we're like, well, you got to tell them more often, Isn't that right, Melly? She's gonna punch
true.
me. Okay, so
I would never do that, Lauren.
She would.
I love you.
She would. No, she would. She's really.
I've
quite
seen
mean.
it before.
Look at that face.
So.
Look at the face of death. Look at it. She comes across all shy and coy. Not the case. Not the case at all. Anyway, that aside.
Never hurt someone.
Apart from horses, of course. Sorry, I had to bring that up already in this season.
I know.
How long has that been around? Like 2 years
forever.
already?
Yeah.
Forever. But still, you guys at home. Hashtag WGLEU. Is this the new Kazna? Is this them showing they are ready for a new season and they are not going to take any game lightly? Are they going to come out and really show us everything they've got? First opponent being Virtus.Pro, they're going to have to. And is this the first sign of the fall of the Giants? Are Virtus.Pro a little too old, a little bit too rusty in their old ways? You've got to let us know. They probably won't let me say
Literally rusty as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They don't have skin, they have armor.
Exactly. Has it just become a little bit out of fashion now? Are they too old to keep up with the new teams? That's what we're going to find out right about now. It is game 2. We are into round 2 here now, and Kazna already picking up the first round on the attack. They're going to have to go again. Virtus.Pro this time going to try and stop them. What do we see here?
Well, same lineup from Kazna crew. This time Hyber's going to be playing the well, they're both Elian and Hyber playing the LTTB. Sorry, Elian was playing it in the last round as well. Oh, that was a brilliant shot there from Kusok. That guy is an absolute beast in the artillery, making up for some errors in the previous round. But Kusok, if you don't know, I mean, back in the old Virtus.Pro lineup, when Derp was the team captain, Kusok was the artillery player of choice. Eventually it became Las Vegas, but Kusok has certainly got some pedigree in that vehicle, so I'm sure he's loving it at the moment.
Yeah, and it looks like Virtus.Pro doing something similar to before. taking control of the hill. We don't see the commitment from Kazna this time. They seem to be playing from the outskirts.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Kazna go for the 1-2-3 line. They got the T-54 roaming as well. They've even managed to spot out Kusok there in the M44. That's a problem. I mean, if you're going further forwards, you can get a quicker shot, you can get the first shot, but you can also get spotted pretty easily. But I definitely like the start from Virtus.Pro. They've got some great positions there. They got the M44 still alive in a great position. They got the IS3s on the hill. Kazna crew aren't challenging them at all. The only issue I would see would be with a 3-line push towards that western side cap.
We're going to find out soon, and it's always even at such an early point, and knowing Kazna can turn it, just seeing Virtus.Pro have control of the hill, have the HP advantage, I can't help but think it's in their favor. I know that work can be done, and we're going to have to see it soon. Hyber once again spawning out Karitz, the 251 up against that LTTB. And on paper, which way would that sort of 1-to-1 go? Well,
Ilium was in the LTTB previously, and he went in favor of course, Karitz. Not massively. I mean, people underestimate the LTTB. I said it in the grand finals. I was super surprised we didn't see it in the season 5, because when I was grinding that tank up towards get the T-54 lightweight, it was an absolute beast. It was a joy to play. It reminded me of the T-50-2. Good damage. It does a lot of weird bounces from the frontal plate, and it's just a good all-rounder as well. So, you know, it's going to continue being used in this season, and I'm glad to see Kazna crew have started that trend off early. But some good damage onto Virtus.Pro on the hill. Virtus.Pro are only defending, so they don't have to do anything here. They've got all the points they need to. Again, as I said, Kazna crew's best bet would be that western side cap, but they seem to have most tanks towards the right. Now, we saw in 742, the classic move was pushing down the 9 line in towards that west, into that south side where the cap was previously, and then just trying to get the overmatch around the corners. That might be even a good idea, considering not only Kusok is really there, maybe one T-54, but Nexus doing great work on the hill with that T-54. That position, as you saw with No Mercy and Wusa, is absolutely fantastic. He really does provide some surprises.
I'm amazed with how much damage he's been able to inflict towards Bishop already. He's down so low. He's down to what, 495? I'm quite impressed by this, whether it be Schnitz on Nexus or Vetso landing them. Great work so far, and the high ground doing well, but not really providing Virtus.Pro with much at the moment. They just keep control, but sooner rather than later, Kaza's going to have to make their play, as you said. They are on the attack. Where do you see them making this then, if you had to hedge your bets, to a T?
Well, Virtus.Pro on the attack.
No,
Kazna on the attack.
Yeah.
Well, I would, if I was them, go for the 3 line, because it worked against Wusa with the IS3s there. So I imagine it worked for Kazna, but they seem to be going for.
Well, maybe you're right. They are starting to move around.
Yeah, they got Vetso there, Hyber up in towards the southern area. I mean, Hyber, Eurolfish have got to really synergize well and take down Karitz if they can. Maybe get some early damage on, but I don't think you'll see Virtus.Pro really wanting to push. You can see Kusok is now in a position to deal with that western side F3 cap. So that's going to make it tricky for Kazna crew, but they are going to start to swing that maneuver around, pushing up towards where Karitz is deemed to be the weak point.
Well, they're actually going to make a play towards this. Here we go. Eurolfish and Hyber, as you mentioned, going to move around here. Karitz is in trouble. That's one shell coming in. There's a second. Ooh, Eurolfish, though, the backups arrive, but they've done the damage. Hyber could be caught out, but he finds a touch of cover himself. And the IS-3s couldn't bail out Karitz in any sort of way, shape, or form.
So that basically brings Virtus.Pro down to 2 less tanks than Kazna crew. But, I mean, the IS-3s, those 3 IS-3s can basically one-shot T-54. Ooh, Vetso just sneaking across there. You can see the pressure from Kazna crew just keeping the IS-3s far enough back so they can't peek, so they can't go over and do some damage. And the trap seems to have been sprung. Kazna crew surging forwards to those 2 T-54s. You've got the LTTT in the background as well. And then T-54 of Vetso going in to try and take down Povel.
They've got to be careful though. Kazna is starting to take a lot of damage, and there it is coming into place. Kusok finds Vetso pushing across, and you can see those IS-3s on the hill are literally turrets in this sort of aspect. No one's pressuring them. No one's really adding fire until right about then when Breakneck caught a shell. But the damage and the HP is certainly going in favor to Virtus.Pro. They're keeping the numbers alive here, and Kazna is starting to dwindle. 1.7k left. Coca-Cola can easily pick up Schnitzel then in the T54. And look at this, Hyber's down to a one-shot. Eurofish is low. Alien's not far off it. This is starting to become worrisome, and I don't think Kazna has the resources here to do much.
Kazna have to go for the hill now. That's their really only option. Just Cause is low. They have to try and take him down.
Alien
has got to try and keep Bishop at bay as well in the IS3. Ooh, see that's the bounce I was talking about. Bishop hit Alien, did no damage.
Sadly, that time Breakneck will. Alien does go down, and even though 2.5k is still in play for Virtus.Pro, it's possible with 3 players alive, I guess, for Kazna, but it's not easy with only so little HP left. Down to 472. They're all essentially one-shots. And you're going to see it coming in again. Coca-Cola, Just Cause, back-to-back, doing the damage. Kazna let it slip a little too far this time. And Yizny and Hyber, the last 2 alive. Hyber's in real trouble here if he peeks out. Povel's going to do that. A classic T54 player showing his prowess. And it's going to be Yizny. He's got no chance here.
The commander is hit.
Has managed to take down Just Cause at least, so that's going to be fair enough. But Kusok sealing the deal with that M44, finds last player of Kazna crew, Yizny, and brings it back all even.
Yeah, I think that kind of fizzled out almost for Kazna in that one. It didn't seem the Virtus.Pro brought anything phenomenal. It didn't change my world. It didn't change anyone's world. It was IS3s on the hill, and they had a lot of HP and a lot of sustained firepower. It's not, you know, this new thing, but it worked. Kazna seemed to just, the HP started to dwindle. They didn't have the numbers in the end. Where did it go wrong in comparison to the first round when it went white? When it went right? Words are hard.
Well, Vetzer got absolutely annihilated on the cross. He was on 100% HP pretty much in the T54. The 3 IS3s just completely obliterated him. Povel was the bait, and I think when you lose a tank like that, it's very hard to get into the game. If I was Kazna, I would have put more focus towards a hill, because you could see FKK Schnitzel and I believe Nexus there in the left side behind the houses got kind of locked down a little bit. They had tanks left, right, and center. They couldn't really peek and do that much damage. I think they should have had 2 tanks on the hill. Alien came a little bit late and just made some sort of play towards there. But it was a good match from Virtus.Pro. They great damage from Kusok at the beginning with that M44 hitting that shell. Absolutely fantastic work from him.
That was massive.
And you can't really predict a shell like that. No. And those IS3s again, so despite all the resources they try to put against them, they're just hard to kill.
And do you think we're going to see more and more of the IS3? I know someone asked the question earlier, will we see any new tanks coming in? But I think it's just the season of the IS3 almost so far. It's really applicable in a lot of the maps. Even the new edition, Ghost Town, looking at the other leagues, the IS3 is being played there as well. I think surely this is something we're going to see time and time again here. I
think the IS3 is being a staple throughout every season, but I think with the changes, it's going to be even more applicable here.
And what really came into change? Because I knew there were some updates, some changes
well, it's the
around
maps as well. I mean, for sure the characteristic changed a little bit with the turret change and the frontal glaciers change. But you know, those maps, when you're on the south on mines, for instance, you don't have that option of necessarily going for the northern hill. So you play with the IS3. Because you have the damage and you know, you even force the other team from going on the hill. I mean, Kazna had the option of going for the hill. They went for it first. They won thanks to some great play, but you know, those IS3s just forced them off. I'd like to see other tanks like T32. We saw Na'Vi actually went against Virtus.Pro in the, I think it was the first grand finals actually, where they had the T32 and they had the 2 AMX3090s, and they used the T32 to basically hide the AMX3090s. So Virtus.Pro won the hill. They had no idea. They only thought one T32 was going up, but it was all the other tanks.
Come on, that's Na'Vi. That's like saying, hey guys, I know you're really good at the game, but do you want to play like the world's best? Well, maybe not anymore, but at the time, those guys...
Mate.
Yeah, hey, come on. But still, Na'Vi, those guys just play... The same with Hellraisers, to be fair. Both the teams are kind of in the same bracket in my mind. They play almost a different game to most of the teams. It's like, well, we'll play your world tanks, but we're so far ahead of you. We know what you're doing. We know how to kind of counter your counter before you've even thought of that counter, and we're just going to smash it. So I don't know if the EU teams are quite as ingenious just yet. I think skill-wise, 1-to-1, they can still compete, don't get me wrong, but some of the stuff you just see, you know, the likes of Na'Vi pulling out or Hellraisers pulling out, it's just like, where did that come from? And they're just so on point with it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they're a step above the rest. Hellraisers didn't even seem to break a sweat at the grand finals. But I think for the next round, I think Kazna would have definitely put a big test towards Hellraisers over the grand finals.
I agree.
I think Hellraisers had just so much time to counter what EL Gaming were doing. They managed to win it. Yeah. But Yeah, for Kazna in the next round, obviously we have the switcheroo now. We have Kazna crew moving over towards the attacking side, defensive side. So let's see what they can do. They've been a team that has been classically good at attack, and their defense has always been a little bit dubious, but they're quite good all round.
So we're still seeing the IS-3s with Virtus.Pro on the attack as well, so they're clearly quite happy with these.
Yeah, Virtus.Pro, I mean, it's a bit strange. They usually go for the classic kind of T-54s and 251s. I mean, a lot of people, including me, criticize Virtus.Pro in the first place for being a team that just doesn't adapt. They don't change. I mean, Season 5 finals, you can say they lost it just because they took the 251s and not the T-54s. And, you know, with those IS-3s, they're doing a little bit of adaptation. And Coca-Cola, you know, the new player for Virtus.Pro, he's been very good, as he does go for a quick flank, though. Yeah,
and you got the covering fire coming in from that LTTB with Hyber, but Elian is now going to suddenly have Breakneck. You're not going to pick up an easy kill here, Elian. You went for a bit of a cheeky play. You went for the damage around the back, but not going to happen. Elian is down to a one-shot. Breakneck deals with him early, and that's just smart play there. And they haven't given up any just presence elsewhere. Virtus.Pro still holding on. They're down a little on HP here, though.
Ooh, but Kritza goes low, and Hyber in the LTTB does finish him off. Great position there by Hyber. Very dangerous, but that's because Virtus.Pro had to actually go up towards Elian and try and take him down. That allowed Hyber to flank around and get some great side armor shots.
Let's see what they've got here. Just Cause, very low here. Hyber might be able to make one last shell. Not the case. Breakneck's on cleanup duty. Coming around, picking up 2 so far, doing the damage required, keeping Kazna in check, and now coming back to the rest of them. Breakneck is such a good player in these sort of instances, but we've already seen that Coca-Cola can deliver as well. This guy's been proving time and time again. Yizny taking 740 damage.
It's the Kusok
That's
factor.
Huge play.
That was Kusok hitting a shell. Great little shell there from him, and he's probably using heat ammo actually, so he can potentially even, you know, do 50, 60, 78% to T-54 lightweight very, very easily. So I still think Kazna have the advantage here. They got more hit points despite the fact that Virtus.Pro have 2 IS-3s. Kusok is a one-shot, so as soon as he gets spotted or peeks, he's going to get taken down. And it's also, you know, being experienced with artillery, a very awkward position to be in. He can't go left, he can't go right. So as soon as Kazna switch up the angles, he's going to be completely useless. As long as Kazna don't go for the middle exchange and you know, fight those IS-3s 1 versus 1 from the front, I think Kazna are in the better position, but you got the T-54 down on the right side, kind of on his own.
Breakneck.
He hasn't been spotted though.
No,
so.
Nexus didn't see him. I don't know how Breakneck gets away with this. He just seems to be like a ghost on the map almost. He'll go where he wants. He's been picking up the kills. He makes a shot on the move, so I'm pretty sure Nexus surely will have a good idea where he is, but he's got himself into a phenomenal spot.
You'll see the IS-3s now push forwards. They know that Kazna crew have to try and turn some turrets and deal with Breakneck, otherwise he's going to pummel them. That has forced Kazna crew to actually go forwards and, you know, engage these IS-3s.
But it's not working out so well for Virtus.Pro, even though it was the right move. Schnitzel's tried to punish, but there's that crossfire coming into place. Povell doing the work, but Bishop is low, and Bishop should be down now. Vetso has the shell to make, and he will deliver, but now Schnitzel has to keep up as well. Povell gonna back up. Still 4 tanks standing for Virtus.Pro against the 4 of Kazna. This is neck and neck, but now the fights need to be absolutely crisp. Breakneck again doing the damage. Yizny goes down, but elsewhere on the map, it's the Kazna crew show. They overwhelmed, and now they get the 3-on-1 against Just Cause. They'll win that out, and I don't think Breakneck can surely clutch this. He's been the one-man band so far. If Kusok can maybe get a cheeky kill here, I don't know if he's got time. 4 seconds till he has that shell. Not going to be allowed a second to breathe. The Vetso will find Kusok, and now Breakneck 1v3. He's already picked up so many kills throughout this map. I don't know what else can be really asked of this man. He's got Eurofish low, Schnitzel's not far off, and they could possibly do this. 1.8k damage. 3 kills to his name. This is an MVP performance I've ever seen one, but he's got 2 minutes now to hold on to this one. And he can do this in theory.
In theory, I think he can, but, you know, he's a 2-shot basically. I have to say, Just Cause definitely didn't help him out there because he missed a shot onto Vetso. That made it 2 versus 2. And Kusok was a few seconds away from reload, and, you know, Kusok would have stayed alive. So I honestly think that shot by Just Cause maybe have lost them the game, but Kazna crew on the defense, they don't have to go forwards, they can just stay alive. Ooh. Oh. And Vetso does secure Breakneck down to a 1-shot.
He needed to land that, and they're starting to get a little anxious for this. And Vetso, being the aggressor, comes in, does the damage. Kazna now 2-1. And with everything Breakneck tried to do, he threw everything at them. He single-handedly almost hit 2k damage on his own in that tank, which is just insane. It still wasn't enough. Kazna showing that even with the, one man excelling, one man doing well, they can still overmatch that 3-man roaming squad at the end. Just picked up, 2-3 tanks? It was so imperative to that win.
Yeah, the thing is, Kazna crew were forced to go forwards, but because of breakneck positions, I mean, he did a lot of damage, but he took down Yizny, but he wasn't in the fight when he was needed to be because he had to deal with that hill. T54 going up a hill, it's a fast tank, but it's not that fast. So I think if Virtus.Pro had just cause on that plateau instead of being in that lower ground, it could have been good. And
look at those votes.
And Creed's
People are believing.
Creed's getting taken down early on wasn't great, but I mean, it was a good showing from Kazna crew, especially Vetso. I mean, that guy was a huge factor in that round. And
if you watch Vetso, I guess in the early iterations of the way he played, he was very aggressive and not always in the right times. He sometimes overextended, got caught out. These days, he seems so much better well-rounded. He knows when the right time is to be aggressive, when he needs to play with his team. He's becoming such a well-rounded player from start to finish. It's quite scary to see his growth. I'd say go back to the original games where Vetso was just starting to really show his potential. And how many times he'd get caught out? He'd try and go for a shot. Hyber would still be in the T69 somewhere on Abbey. Vetso gets caught a little off guard, and he'll go down. It's like, again.
He's actually my favorite player. I mean,
he's really finding form.
Generally a good friend. I mean, I've been around for quite a long time, and I know Vetso very well. And we've had some great time together. And I really do.
Times, of course, like down the library or going out for walks.
Flower picking,
another
dinner and wine.
No.
I've had some romantic times with Vetso, but he's honestly one of my favorite players. It's great to see, people who start off a little bit rough and shaky, an unpolished diamond, and being
really
a really good player, and it's fair enough. It's hard to take down Just Cause when you're on the move.
He is becoming such a powerful force as an individual player. He's a real person to keep your eyes on.
I'm also a little bit surprised that Elian's not playing T54, by the way.
And he's not playing that well, to be fair, so far. He already lost out, who was it, against Karitz in a 1-to-1? Not something all that characteristic of Elian, but it could be just a slow start. It may not be his game. He's not feeling warmed up yet, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Let's find out, though. Let's kind of take stock of what we've got going on so far. Virtus.Pro on the attack. 2-1 in favour to Kazna, who are now on the defensive. They're just kind of playing very slowly, letting Virtus.Pro just take a couple of shells on the way up. Yeah,
but too much. They haven't done enough damage onto Virtus.Pro on the way up. There should have been at least another 500 onto those T54s. That's not a great situation. I'm really curious to see what Kazna can really do, especially with this lineup. I mean, 5 T54s, 2 LTTBs. It seems like one of those lineups which you can use on every single map, apart from Himmelsdorf. And they kind of said to themselves, okay, so yeah, the IS-3 might be good, and what I would expect most teams to do on the defensive side on this one, on Mines, but we're not going to go for it. We're going to go for the kind of all-round ability, and Elian just scampering away. You could see he's playing for that bush. If he had gone towards the right too much, the bush wouldn't have been in the way, he would have got spotted. So that's the kind of inch play you see from these top players. But Kazna certainly saying, okay, so we've been aggressive on the defense, and we want to now sit back and see what Virtus.Pro can provide in terms of attacking power. Now, I would say Virtus.Pro, their best bet would just be to come off the hill, go forward momentum, and take down Vetso and Nexus. The problem is they do have to deal with Eurofish and FKK, but you have got that rock kind of between them and the water to provide some cover.
I'll ask you the question, do we think that Kusok sticking with the M44 is a good idea at this point? Or, because we don't often see it on, well, we do see it on the attack, tell a lie, but do you think he's been playing well with it? There's been some very big shots, but is it a big enough consistency here?
Well, it's one of those things where if it works, everyone is like, wow, he's a genius, he's a hero. Yeah. Exactly. And if it doesn't, everyone's like, wow, the artillery is bad, blah, blah, blah. But it's been working so far for sure. I mean, a lot more damage than you would do in any other tank, but Nex is doing some fantastic work. I mean, you got to consider this. He's in the middle of everywhere, and any kind of peek from those IS-3s can take you down very quickly. So that was a significant piece of work done onto Virtus.Pro, and Creed's being half hit points in the 251 could put them in a little bit of an awkward situation. But I think Virtus.Pro just curious and a little bit hesitant of what to do. But they do look like that right side might be, the eastern side might be their first kind of point of pressure.
Wow. I love seeing this so far, and it's kind of strange to believe that Kazna are leading against Virtus.Pro in an online game. It is genuinely very shocking, and especially when you look back at the previous seasons. We are seeing, as you mentioned, those T-54s come into place, but Hyber's become a mountain goat. He's going to put himself up in the hills. Have I seen that position before? I don't know.
Can I make a joke like bar, like he's a sheep?
You could have. That could have been pretty good.
They're pretty good at climbing.
That wasn't bad. Do goats make that sound? They do, don't they?
Yeah, probably.
There we go. You could have gone for goat, I guess.
Yeah. I did, but I half went for it. It wasn't.
It was
I
alright. Yeah, you should have just gone for it. I'd have backed you up. Don't worry. I don't throw you under the bus ever.
Well.
But we did see this so many times. There have been a couple of times we've seen players pushing themselves into the hills, especially on the east. But look who is coming through the eastern side. It is Virtus.Pro, and they are rolling up right now. We've got Yizny and Hyber now to try and slow them down, do some damage. It's a 2v3, an overmatch in favor to Virtus.Pro. They should pick this up cleanly. Hyber gets melted by Breakneck. Another big play from him, taking a bit of damage, but still in the game. Now Yizny on the corner. He can't hold on to this. He can't back up. He can't go forward. Just Cause with Karitz from afar coming in. And now Kazna trying to make their counter play, but a lot of damage has been done. Yeah,
but they're going to manage to surround Coca-Cola and Karitz. But honestly, Kazna are stuck in between a rock and a hard place. They seem to be lost a little bit like, headless chickens at this point, just trying to find some sort of angle onto Virtus.Pro, and Virtus.Pro has all the answers.
They certainly do. Vetso being called out here. He's going to find cover, but he's in such a tricky spot. Povel's going to deal with him. And now, as soon as Virtus.Pro found what they wanted to do, they're keeping every tank alive almost at this point, even though they're down on health a little from the start, but it's still 5.2k against 2.9. And Kazna are going to have to dig so deep. I don't know what they can do. They're going to pick up a comfortable kill on the M44. Kuzok not going to hit much close range. Actually, no, I think he did, actually. I think Elian took a shot, unless that was from Coca-Cola, which it may have been. But now it's a 4v a lot, let's say. Virtus.Pro have a lot of tanks up here. They're already starting the cap. And there's a lot of tanks to go through until Kazna can even decap this one.
Yeah, this is looking very bad. Bishop is just going to be able to peek down onto FKK and Euralfish. Virtus.Pro have the high ground to the extreme. 2 tanks, potentially 3 tanks in the cap if they want to. And only 20 seconds for Kazna crew to try and get the decap. And also Just Cause in a great position to take down Elian.
Elian's going to go for a sneaky play. He's going to go for the one-man stand play. The T-54 has been spotted. He's got to be cautious of this. He's the one who's going to try and maybe make a reset. I don't know. Where is he going? Elian, you've got to get to that cap. He's only got 10 seconds now, kind of detouring off route. And now who's it going to be? It's Breakneck and Povel, I believe, who get in this cap going. Elian, you've got to hit a miracle shot here. He's got tanks now firing behind him. He's in trouble. 5 seconds here. He's got to hit these shots. He's got to get the resets. His team are not throwing, and Elian does the damage. Perfectly done. He's going to take a lot for this, though. But can he save enough time? He's reset it just up to 21 seconds. But now only LD Nexus and Schnitzel left alive. I don't think they can keep this one up. We're going to see maybe Schnitzel make a play, but with 10 seconds remaining, Bishop and Just Cause still on so much HP. Surely this is in the hands of Virtus.Pro. 6 seconds left. Nexus goes down. It's all on Schnitzel, and I don't think he can do much here. They're going to hide. They're going to cower, and Virtus.Pro in the last seconds surely have done the damage. Schnitzel didn't hit the shot, but Virtus.Pro will, and we are back at 2-2, and we have a very even play day now.
Yeah, that was very, very good from Virtus.Pro. I mean, back and forwards for a good portion of it, but
sure.
Again, I think it came down to a very indecisive middle match for Kazna crew. I mean, a good push by Virtus.Pro, the obvious push. Kyber being in that position was a little bit questionable because he was getting the spots onto the people on the hill, but at the same time he was a sitting goat, basically. And when he pushed off, he got absolutely melted. Great shot there by Kusok as well to hit an LTTV on the move again.
Yep.
And then from there on out, it was Vetso getting caught out in the middle. He probably maybe even lost it for his team there. T54 going down for nothing. And an indecisive Kazna crew, and despite a valiant effort by Elian, just wasn't enough.
Sadly, no, he did get the one reset in, but by that point, there was so much damage done that there's so little to achieve. But Melly, first map now down. It's 2-2. It's pretty close. The votes are looking everything is even as hell. How are the people finding this? They must be going wild.
71% for Kazna crew.
What?
Yeah.
That's not how votes work. It's meant to be like even or very slim, but no, these guys are just like slamming down the votes after like one shot.
Absolutely, exactly. Well, as said, I would love to see the reactions from Twitch chat as soon as the equalizer goes in. Well, we're 5 minutes ahead, so I can't say how they'll react to this, but I don't think that they ever thought about that this could be like an equal match. Don't get me wrong, both are awesome teams, we know that, but from the history of Virtus.Pro, we always knew that the community was standing right behind the online Virtus.Pro. Like, no matter what, always rooting for Virtus.Pro. They have a huge fan base, but it's also nice to see that Kazna crew also grew regarding fan base. So.
Oh, massively so. Let's bear in mind, Virtus.Pro used to have everyone loving them. Everyone loved Virtus.Pro. They're the team you either love to hate or just because of the fact they won everything. If you're going to make a bet, you want it on the winning team, right? So why would you ever go against Virtus.Pro online? But in the background, there was Kazna winning minds and hearts somewhere, you know, Vetso handing out flowers to children and, you know, just beautiful, beautiful charity stuff. But in the background, they've really built up their own core audience, which is great to see, and they deserve it.
Also, and dropping out from in the early stages of the grand finals didn't hurt it, to be honest. Yep. So, Ollie, how is it if you use? Well, we all used to be former professional gamers, but compared to World of Tanks and other esports, the morale of a team member, is it like more important in this game than maybe in other games like in FPS or strategy?
Well, I don't know. It's a super solid question. I mean, if you look at, normal FPS, the problem with normal FPS is that once you start losing, you lose 5 in a row, and it's happened within a few minutes. Whereas in tanks, you can kind of get yourself resettled. But I think tanks is more of a team game. So if you lose morale, it can affect the rest of your team very easily, and the team morale is a lot more important in this game.
Okay, and do you think that this was maybe negative side of Virtus.Pro? Like, they're not used to losing. They're not used to losing.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And if they do, they don't know how to handle it.
But it's good because they won too much in the past. They definitely need to lose some. I mean, the problem with Virtus.Pro always is that they went into every single finals having not lost anything, and then the teams practiced against them and trained against them and brought new tactics out which they haven't seen, and they have that random element of offline events, and they lost. So I think for Virtus.Pro to bleed a little bit is actually going to be a good thing for them.
To grow maybe stronger as a team in the future.
Hopefully. You've got to expect them to come back stronger, and there needs to be a touch of humility there. They're a team that has always been not necessarily arrogant, but rightfully so in a way. They won everything, so of course they're going to be very confident. But as you said, it's not a bad thing if they have to kind of just adjust because, hey, people are getting better. We've got to play 10% harder. We've got to work harder. And God knows what Virtus.Pro can become when they work harder than they used to. So I think it's a good thing. There's a little bit of humility there now with them, that they know they're not just this one team season, one team league. They have to now compete with everyone else. I think it's a good thing.
And maybe the fresh blood in the team will help as well. We will see during the season.
It's a good idea.
People, tell me what's your opinion on that. Use the hashtag WGLEU over at Twitter and follow us on Twitter as well to stay updated. Even if you can't follow the stream, we'll provide a live We'll provide live tweets for you. I don't know why I'm struggling so much with this. Might be the 8 weeks of break we had, but we're back, and I'm happy to be here. And we'll be back after a short break.
Welcome back to the WGL EU. We are now kind of almost at the halfway point of the very first play day coming back here, or match day, match week. I don't know, you can call it what you want, just to annoy Stephen. But we are kind of halfway into Virtus.Pro at least against Kazna, as it's currently tied 2-2. So a very even game to begin with. Second map coming up is going to be Steps, if I'm not mistaken. What do we make of that?
So we got Kansas Crew's choice being Steps on the defensive side, perhaps not surprising.
Nope.
I mean, we didn't say that much at the grand finals. I think I would like to, but a very balanced map, probably the most balanced map I would say in the whole map pool. Attacking, defending, as long as you innovate and you try new things and you be consistent, you can be very good. I think it's the best 754 map we have, and Kazna have been a solid team altogether. I'm going to be seeing if Kusok's going to be sitting that artillery still. I'm not sure. Maybe he will be, maybe he won't be, but
there's a chance.
There's a small chance, but 2-2 is a great scoreline to go into this one on.
Certainly is, and you guys out there at home have been voting as well. Melly, has there been any thoughts yet about Steps, or the viewers still so caught up in the first map they haven't even thought about it yet?
They actually didn't tweet anything about Steps happening, if I'm not mistaken. No, nothing
Everyone's
so far. They're
into
still
the first
busy
one.
to recap what actually happened in the first map for everyone that just tuned in. Kazna Crew versus Virtus.Pro, equal standing, 2-2. So everything's open in the second,
awesome.
map, and yeah.
It's going to be good. I don't know about Steps. I think we need to kind of throw our minds back almost. If we're going to look back at the last season with Steps and what it really entailed for these two teams, what do you think were the main factors about which team was stronger than the other, Ollie?
Well, Steps was the most common map we saw in the whole season. Both teams were very good on this one. There's no standout game for me for Kazna or Virtus.Pro. No significant result. But they've both been good. I mean, if you're not good at Steps in 754, then you've got to be really worried because it's the most commonly played one. And I think we're going to see it, despite the map changes, quite often, maybe even more often than we did last season. Because you have that element of you're the new maps, and people haven't had a massive amount of time to train and innovate on. So you can always bring out something really surprising, which will win you a few rounds and maybe even a match or two. But after that, you still got to be good at the classics. Most
certainly. You guys at home, keep those votes coming through to us. I don't know if you can even still do it. That may be an issue, but already it's going to be Kazna with 68% still. So keeping faith. And I feel as though they may have an advantage. But then again, in my mind, it's still the Virtus.Pro of old. They're still the old classic team. And the next map, as we said, it's going to be Steps. So, teams are ready, they're locked in. And up in the north on the defense, it's going to be Kazna. In the south on the attack, it's Virtus.Pro. And what do we make of these lineups so far? So
we're seeing Karitz actually in a T21, the American Tier 6 light tank.
Looks like a little rubber ducky.
It's interesting. It does look like a rubber duck. It doesn't float.
There.
Still 21 tons, so it's nice. I mean, gun's not great, but it's pretty fast. It can do good rate of fire. We'll have to see how it works out. I mean, the first time we've seen it in the league so far, you can see Virtus.Pro are trying new things and innovating, whilst Hyber sticking to his guns with the T37. Now, classic push from Virtus.Pro as the attackers first going up north towards that cap on the northern side.
Yeah, doing what they seem very assertive this season, to be fair, so far, Virtus.Pro. They're not changing too much, but they are certainly looking a little bit more fluid. They're looking a little bit more well-rounded. And where are we going to see that T21? I assume for the cap, it's quite a small tank in comparison to, let's say, the T54s. Is that where you can see it being placed? Does it have an advantage over any other tank currently that you would imagine could fit that same role? Or is that not how they're going to play it?
But obviously, you can do that if you want. I mean, sure. I mean, it's going to be a good tank hull down. It's going to be a good tank in those positions. But I think you would use its speed and its firepower more than anything else. To try and maneuver around. You got the T21 in the cap there with Kusok. 2 in the cap is very interesting. Perhaps playing on the fact that Elian is slightly out of position at T32. He's going to have to go forwards and get the spots out. Hyber has got to stand still for 5 seconds to try and get his binos activated. and spot Kusok or Kreitz.
I really think that tank is adorable, by the way. I'm not going to lie to you. It looks so cute. I like the way on the map so far the flowers are almost bigger than it. But actually withstanding one shot so far, quite impressive to be fair, that it hasn't been taken any lower. 21 seconds. And as you said, very maneuverable. Its utility work is fantastic so far. Kusok takes a little bit of damage there, so a little bit more time to reflect, and the base cap is still going high, but taking a lot of damage. And that T-37 already down to 212 HP, so starting to lose a little out here. But Karit's going to continue the cap. And I believe Kusok's going to be a little more cautious now.
Yeah, Haiba had to go forwards to basically get the reset. He had to take some damage, and he knew he wouldn't die. So he just peeks, gets a spot onto Kreitz, and he can continue rotating around now. If Virtus.Pro setup is basically just to stop Kazna crew go along the D-line trench, which is fair enough. They're keeping the pressure on in the cap, and they might even try a cheeky 3 cap to reduce that time a lot. But you can see no spots going out onto Virtus.Pro. It's just the blind shots they're getting the resets right now.
I think Just Cause may have just lit up for a second, but he is probably the only one that they can really see. The T-54 in the south is starting to work its way up that central road. And now with 20 seconds left, Kazna got to start weighing out their options. Virtus.Pro can keep doing this for days here, just slowly but surely whittling away the Kazna HP. But Shell's now coming in. Karitz is going to have to adjust, but look at this timer. It's getting pretty quick here, down to 14 seconds. And where are Virtus.Pro? And sorry, excuse me, Kazna. They're the ones who are going to have to make these shots. They're going to have to commit for them. And if they miss, they're going to be in real trouble. 7 seconds remain. There's the reshot. The reset's coming in. It's weird not hearing game sounds right now. But I like the pressure from Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, just keeping on the pressure, but the problem is Kusok is getting pounded down. He got spotted quite a lot there, but still that T-21 has the most capping points. Kazna crew need to hit it. They need to take it down, but there we go. They have to get out of the cap, and Nexus does dispatch of Kusok nicely.
Yeah, he certainly does. The cap has been halted, and the damage now towards Kazna crew is going to begin. Virtus.Pro left out a little out in swords. They've lost out in numbers, but they still retain HP, so they're going to have to pull themselves back together in this. Just Cause looking for an LD Nexus, not going to find him, but they are looking for that tank in the south, and I think they've just about caught up with Yizny. Karitz is kind of herding him in with Bishop. Bishop's the one who's going to do the damage, if anything. Yizny not going to make the shot. He does catch on towards Bishop, but Bishop catches him, and this is worrying. Yizny might just get away here, but Bishop will have another shell right about now. Yizny going to hold the high ground. It doesn't matter. Bishop does come through, and Kazna now starting to dwindle in numbers, but they've still got enough tanks there they can do damage.
It's all going to be how quickly Bishop can actually rotate and do some damage, but I'd say Kazna crew still in a pretty good position. They're defending, but Nexus being caught out right in the middle. They're going down for no real reason. Definitely hasn't helped them out at all. But still, you know, Virtus.Pro have to push in. They have to use that one tank advantage they have. You know, collect themselves a little bit and go for a classic over the crest push. We've seen a lot from the attacking side on steps.
And with Alien still in the game in that T-32, not even taking a single point of HP. You can see how much of his HP individually is bolstering the Kazna numbers at the moment. But when you're on the attacking side, someone still in the game like Alien is going to be very, very costly. Breakneck's going to be struggling in this factor, but we're slowly seeing Virtus.Pro starting to move up. Bishop has found Haiba. The fold is coming in. 4 tanks now remain for Kazna. Alien is the thorn in their side. I'm not sure if they can really take him on here, but they're going to try. Coca-Cola Just Cause it low. They're not too flash for health, and here we go. Alien withstands the first. Eurofish pushing out Vetso, and Schnitzel trying to scurry away and hide, but Alien now being the focus of 2. Bishop going to come in. Breakneck still trying to fight off Eurofish, and it's going to be Eurofish to come out on top. Kazna are holding on to this, but Karitz takes down Schnitzel. That T-21 has been an MVP so far, and now Vetso gonna fall as well. That's Just Cause coming in, and it's just Alien and Eurofish left against 4 with 1 minute to withstand. I don't think they can do it, and now just Eurofish alive. Kazna let it slip in the last couple of seconds, leaving the door just wide enough open for Virtus.Pro to come creeping back into the game. Eurofish is on the run, but he's gonna have to go goddamn fast out of this.
Yeah, he's got to run away as quickly as possible. He's got 45 seconds. I mean, it came so close for Kazna crew to actually hold on to this game, but Coca-Cola makes that first shell and does secure a one-shot onto Eurofish.
That's massive. Karitz, that speed of that T-21 is going to surely catch up to him. Eurofish Doesn't get hit. Karitz does receive a shot, but there we go. Just Cause does it. And Virtus.Pro bring it to a 3-2 scoreline. And so many kind of random aspects, well, not random, but so many different aspects went on in that game. So it started off as kind of, the cap. Something very standard, something we're used to. But then it kind of devolved into this kind of skirmish. And what really went right and wrong then for Kazna?
I think it was great that Kazna crew kept the cap reset for so long. I mean, some great work by Hyber and some great spotting as well. But Yizny going down like that wasn't great news. And then Nexus being caught out in the middle for no reason. That's 2 tier 8 tanks down for 1.
Yep.
But I think Kazna crew could have done something with that. They could have pushed through and taken down Virtus.Pro. But with a 2-for-1, they could sneak across, and Elian was pumping out the damage, but he only has a 90mm, which is only 240 damage. So, there's only so much he can do in those situations. And also a lot of low hit point tanks in general for Kazna. So I think Kazna could have been a little bit more decisive, but that was a classic northern pressure push from Virtus.Pro. So great work.
Really working very well. And let's kind of put it this way. Do Virtus.Pro need to change up anything, or can they go back to that similar strategy? Or do you think Kazna's already going to try and adapt their lineup, already starting to think about the errors they made?
I think Virtus.Pro can stick to that strategy. I mean, even with Kazna trying to innovate and do new things and trying to get the resets, they got quite lucky, and Virtus.Pro can just do the same thing again. I'm pretty sure they will do. And they didn't, Kazna didn't really test them there. I mean, it was back and forwards a little bit, but overall it was definitely Virtus.Pro's game. And if you don't see a massive weakness in your strategy, there's no point trying something new.
Well, let's find out very soon. Virtus.Pro just preparing themselves. Shouldn't be too long now. I can imagine they'll get themselves pretty much locked in as quickly as possible. They just want to make sure everything's right. Obviously, talk through that previous round. Just make sure all those boxes are checked pretty much. Like, okay, well, the cap kind of worked. It went wrong here, but this is how we're going to adapt. Or we're just going to go back and do the same thing, because, hell, we won that pretty comfortably in the end. They had so many tanks alive. But credit. Let's see if Kazna can kind of, adjust whatever went wrong. But Melly, if you want to get their thoughts through to you about the game so far, maybe not voting, but just their predictions or their kind of their analysis of the game, where can they do it?
They can always use the hashtag WGLEU over at Twitter to share their opinion, share whatever is on your mind, on their mind, and also Amzord. I probably pronounced the name wrong,
maybe,
but that's what the internet does. Are Virtus.Pro copying Na'Vi with the use of the T21? Seems interesting.
See if Ollie's been watching the Russian leagues.
He's like,
I watched it on. I watched it on Saturday. I didn't manage to catch it on Sunday, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, possibly.
I wouldn't be surprised. I know those two practice against each other.
There's definitely a fraternity of old World of Tanks teams that play a lot against each other.
Well, that's going to be a factor, and it is still in play. So maybe that Na'Vi style starting to creep in, and it certainly worked very well. So, once again, it looks like we're seeing a very similar style from Virtus.Pro. Something you theorized. It worked very well. What are we being pointed out here by the beautiful observers?
Just the classic setup from both teams. I mean, one heading towards the northern cap and the other one getting good defensive lines down. No change in terms of lineup from both. Still Hyber playing the T37, still Karitz playing the T21. So let's see how it works out, of course. I mean, you got Breakneck heading into that position. He wasn't there before, and maybe this is the adaptation there. Not expecting Kazna to do the same thing twice and to fall into the same trap. So they're putting Karitz, expecting that Kazna push across the train line and deal with him like that, or even through the middle, because that's the spot that's really hard to deal with.
Karitz this time taking a little bit more of an earlier shot, and he's going to be a bit cautious here. Right down to what? 3, 7, 1, and a second shell comes in. This is a big difference. They're actually hitting him. He's not been spotted just yet, but so much damage coming in so early, and those 2 shells from, I think it was Nexus and Vetso, becoming just too much of a threat. He's going to back out of there, and Virtus.Pro needs to kind of go back to the drawing board a little here. Yeah,
Virtus.Pro have to run away. A more aggressive Kazna crew have done good work against Karitz. It's a 6-line play coming in. Now we got Hyber on the rotating that T37. He's probably going to head all the way around. If you could dispatch of Karitz, who will probably go roaming himself, it would be great. But the thing is, a T21, it's fast, but it's not as agile as the T37. So it's got to be careful there. But Kazna, again, they're playing the same strategy. They don't want to move too far. They know that they can spot Kusok in that cap if they want to, or if they really have to, they can push along that trench in the 6 line, in the C line I should say, and potentially just deal a crushing blow. But you've got to remember, Virtus.Pro are ready and waiting.
They certainly are, not far off either. T54 still capping this out. Karitz in the T21 just kind of backing away. And look at that, Hyber just perching from afar. They're going to put LD Nexus and Nexus into this one. He's going to take one shot. Kusok backs out. They're going to find a bit of a weakness. But then again, does Kazna expect this counterplay? Are they already going to back him up? Are they prepared if Bishop goes for this? They certainly are. You can see that shot coming through from Vetso. They put out the tasty bait of Nexus and seeing if anyone's going to try and take it.
Nexus obviously got dispatched quite quickly in the previous round. I mean, he was obviously surrounded from both sides. Breakneck gets spotted though up in the northern A3 position. I think that's even the Nexus position. I can't remember who first did that one, but it was definitely a bit brilliant day. But Nexus does get dispatched again. That's the problem. If he peeks, he can get killed, and also if you get a good angle onto him, you can get killed. Like, he has no escape there. But also, it has caused Virtus.Pro to go all the way down the south. But again, Kazna crew don't want to be making that first big move. Despite losing a tier 8 tank, they still think they can hold it down. And Bishop obviously wants some of Hyber.
Bishop's been winning this so many times. His 1-to-1 skill today has been quite impressive, but he does want to commit, which is fairly smart. You don't want to just go kind of balling in there. This takes a hell of a lot of prowess and patience to make this one work. But what do we see now being the options there for Virtus.Pro? They've got, pretty even on HP, which is pretty impressive considering the T32s that are in play here for Kazna. How do they now take the victory? Because they're on the attacking side. Do they go back for that cap? Do they keep playing that number? Do they try and make a play across the A/B line? What do you think their intent is?
They don't need to go for the cap. They've got the tier 8 tank down. They can use that to their advantage. Elian's playing with a 90mm, which is great for taking down cappers, but not so great for dealing just a significant amount of damage. I mean, you're talking about 320 to 240, that's a big deal. So Virtus.Pro are just going to go for the aggressive move.
And it's working so far. Schnitzel's already down, 2 shots? Breakneck and Coca-Cola are going to have those shells available, and look at that. He's getting decimated. Breakneck coming up with the goods already. And now the further fold comes in. Just Cause looking towards Vetso. Vetso trying to make a bit of a run for it, find a bit of an angle, find something to do here. He's got the shell, as does Just Cause, but Povel maybe pushing a little too far, but no. Breakneck once again pulling it in line. Vetso goes down. Karitz even fighting Hyber, and this is a very, very one-sided round. Virtus.Pro just once again looking dominant as one man's left standing, and it's Elian, and he has nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and a hell of a lot of Virtus.Pro wanting that win. 4-2 now, Virtus.Pro showing what they're made of, and sadly, Kazna just not coming up with the goods then.
They seem to be a little bit underprepared on steps. I think they went to steps as a kind of map they don't have to train a lot on. I know for a fact that when these teams go into new seasons, they're always thinking about the new maps and the maps that have had changes to them, but steps hasn't. So maybe they thought they could just win full stop.
Or, yeah.
So I think Kazna just didn't do anything, and Nexus went down to go forwards. He had to get that reset, and he couldn't get the reset, and that was game over. Virtus.Pro could just get the cap under. They could pressure. Once they got Nexus down that tier 8, just push in, get the overmatch 6 versus 7 with a tier 8 tank. And yeah, that was pretty much the end of days for Kazna.
It did seem a little generic for me. It seemed like, well, this is how we played steps to our recollection. This is what we did before. I don't think anything's changed, as you said, and they've kind of come back and just done the same thing. But Virtus.Pro clearly changed a couple of things around. And what do we make of that new tank appearance? Did we like what we were seeing there with it?
Well, we didn't see much of it, to be fair.
It did its role to a degree, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be pretty good. I think we have to see if a lot of other teams actually use it this season. If they don't, then they don't. If they do, then they do. I mean, if the Russians use it, then often, I mean, Virtus.Pro is made up a lot of CIS players, so of course they learn from each other. But the 59-16 is also good. I mean, if they want to pick that one up, it also works.
Would there be any differences between them that stick out to you? Would there be something that would say, okay, that's why you take this tank over this one, or is it just?
Well, yeah, you have view range, T21, camo value. You have all those kind of factors as well. T21 without the autoload is more damage. Those kind of things as well.
Small things that I guess they benefit in some way, and
just
then they lack in
slower and a
another.
little bit more cumbersome for sure. I mean,
okay, that's quite cool. So we're seeing some players kind of picking up a little bit of preference, using the tanks in the way they want to, working with the tactics, and hey, it worked so far. I don't think it was the defining factor in that game. Now, sadly, more Kazna not just really being on point in that one. But it's now time to turn the tables here and see what they can bring on the other side of things. Sadly, in the back of my mind, I remember how good Virtus.Pro were when they're defending. They always seemed like the unmovable force. I always used to question their attacks because they weren't all that ingenious. They never really brought anything new to the plate. But Kazna were the complete opposite. Their defense was pretty solid, but their attack was always quite strong. So we're going to see quite an interesting matchup now between these two. I want to see who's going to really have that advantage going in on the second half here. Virtus.Pro, classically very strong. And the votes, you guys, you're all in favor to Kazna, and sadly your hearts might be broken in the next round because, well, Virtus.Pro are on that verge of picking up the win. And Melly, people out there, has there been any more questions or anything, or are people just too interested in the game right now?
Too much. Don't think that my heart can handle anymore.
Hey,
and
I'm
pretty much
the same.
displays the thoughts of the community. And Penta's getting ready for their match, but they have to wait a little.
I'm
This
sure they're
match
doing their
isn't
warm-up.
over-
They're doing their
over yet.
warm-up. They're getting ready. They've got to do that. Want the fingers, pressing W a couple of times, maybe just S. A little bit of mouse move.
little bit
Yeah.
of mouse move.
Yeah. Nailing it. That's all they got to do. So it's nice to know that. We just get to know Penta getting themselves ready for this one. That's coming up after this game. But let's turn our attention back to this one, because this one is still about to go down. Will Kazna be able to bring this back? We're about to find out. Virtus.Pro are on the verge of their very first win here. Picking up in regular time will mean a clear-cut 3 points, if I'm not mistaken. And that is exactly what they'll want into this league. So it's currently 4-2. Kazna on the attack, Virtus.Pro on the defense. And we're seeing the M44 out to play.
Yeah, M44 from Eurofish. Kazakh haven't typically like this artillery too much. But also haven't gone for that big old view range T21 either. Sticking to their
What is this from
guns
Virtus.Pro?
slightly more. But yeah, Virtus.Pro, strange start. Well, not that strange actually. We've seen it a few times. I mean,
Not from Virtus.Pro.
They're countering the tactic Kazna did. Virtus.Pro, they did against Kazna. The whole left side push, and it hasn't worked out too much for them as Cretes. Let's get dispatched, but Yisni did take a fair few shells.
Yeah, already, as you said, a player down. Virtus.Pro needs to be a little bit cautious. Not the end of the world. I guess they got the information. But now it's kind of gone back to almost Virtus.Pro on the attack. Kazna can take the eastern side. But this time, Kazna has the option to get that cap going. They can depend on that to define the outcome. They get the time almost on their side when they get this ground. But whose position would you rather be in here?
I would prefer to be in Kazakh's. I mean, at the end of the day, if you take a tank down, you're laughing. You get a big advantage. Kazakh have got themselves on the cap. You've got to remember as well that Virtus.Pro, they have the advantage in terms of the overall match position they're in. They just need to pick up one more round, and then they win it. And also, Virtus being on the defensive side, slightly easier even on steps, even though it's a very balanced map. Now, you got the T54. Now, this is going to be a big thing. What can that T54 versus T54 matchup actually do against each other? It might just determine who wins this round.
And Tiber is in a slight deflate here, but Kusok's committing for it. He's taking a lot off the back of this. Ilian and Povol having their little skirmish down towards the south, but I want to keep my eyes on the main fight right now, because Hyber is down to nothing. He's a one-shot. They don't even want to waste a shell. They ram him down. Breakneck picks it up, but Breakneck as well soaking up a lot of fire there. I don't know how he took that much, but he certainly did. Vetso getting a little back, and now we're going to see this fight disperse. Virtus.Pro bullying their way back into the game, and they might have just done enough.
It's still very risky for Breakneck to push onto Vetso like that. I think you'll see Vetso quite easily dispatch of him, and now he'll have the back position to just pester Virtus.Pro from behind. It will force them to go forwards.
Yeah, this could still turn, as you said. Ilian winning it out, Yisni picking up Coca-Cola. This is looking all right. Bishop comes back into it, but there's only 3 remaining, and Bishop is so low, he gets swept aside by Yisni, and now Just Cause and Kusok are not in the position. They overextended, they made a mistake, and that is a very rare occurrence. You'll see Virtus.Pro making errors, and well, Just Cause can do what he likes. He takes one with him, but that's all he's going to write in this matter. Surely he's not going to manage anymore. 1 second until he had the shell. Ilian was there first, and Kazna back in this one, 3-4. They're not letting this slip just yet. They want to take it all the way. But let's kind of recap that one, because that was over pretty damn quickly. That was a really kind of topsy-turvy game. They kind of took each other's places, but then Kazna won out. What happened there?
I don't know. I think Virtus.Pro just went super aggressive. They lost that T21, so obviously their whole, view range on the map, the whole ability to get good vision on the team was lost quite considerably. I think Virtus expected Kazna to go for the left side, but they didn't. They just got completely countered. And they took a lot of damage. You know, Kusok was down to half HP before he moved in. Povel was out of position and taken down by Elian in that T-54. So they already had basically 1.5 tanks down. And then Breakneck went too aggressive against Vet. So you know he probably had to do it. Which also got taken down. So at that point, Virtus.Pro just put themselves in an awkward position. I think they kind of wanted to, they were a little bit too eager to try and finish this match off it.
I think I agree with you. Maybe this is Virtus.Pro trying to be like, hey guys, we're into new quirky fun stuff. And, you know, sometimes they just need to be Virtus.Pro, you know, stoic, cold, and just hold it down when they need to. But I don't know what to make of this. Virtus.Pro look like they've tried to change things up here. It looks like they've tried to be a little bit different and just kind of find another level to go to, find a little bit of variety. But I guess it's finding when to do that is the more important factor.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was a good start, but again, I think they were a little bit too hasty. And you know, I think, who was that in the cap? Hyber.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal that he was capping. There's no need to be so aggressive and so hasty.
Yeah, maybe just trying to find the balance, aren't they? Like, well, okay, we know we need to be a little bit more assertive in our games, but finding that right level of, okay, we're going to push crazily right now, or okay, we're going to take it a little slower and, you know, be calculated. Because that's very un-Virtus.Pro to be non-calculated. These guys are normally, literally, you know, as we said, machines. They don't make errors. They don't make rash decisions. That game they did. Maybe a sign of things to come, who knows? We're going to find out right about now. It's either going to be sorted in this game or we're going to another tiebreaker map. Virtus.Pro, it's all down to you. They'll be once again on the defense. Kazna on the attack. And what do you see so far?
Kazna crew obviously going towards the right side a little bit more. Exactly the same tactic you're seeing on that first round happening from both teams, it seems, from the second round. Virtus.Pro going quite hull down with those T-54s. You've got Kazna crew going towards that east side cap, and in my opinion, that's the best thing to do. I mean, Virtus.Pro are really hasty. They like to go around the map. They like to be aggressive, and when their team doesn't pick a T-32, you can almost guarantee that they won't be going hull down towards the 8-9-0 line. So, good guess from Kazna, and I think you'll just see them getting into the cap. But it just depends how quickly they react to this very aggressive play by Virtus.
Here we go. Virtus.Pro being aggressive. I don't know if my brain can handle this. It kind of baffles me a little bit. But they're going for it. And they will certainly catch out Eurofish if he's not careful. He's in the M44. Not exactly going to be able to withstand much from the T-54 lightweights if they're going to keep up at this sort of pace. Schnitzel might be the one to be caught as well. But nothing really spotted so far either. But Schnitzel will get a good bit of information soon, I can imagine, if he holds that position. But no, they're just around the corner. This could be massive.
Well, Kazna crew were definitely late, but they you know, better late than never for sure. Now they have to start capping. I would rather see the M44 maybe in that cap than anything else. Virtus.Pro just look like they're on the warpath. They don't want to slow down, and you know, FKK Schnitzel just being a little bit slow could get caught out.
He suddenly got spotted. You could see the panic as soon as they started rolling around the corner, but quickly Kazna have mobilized here and they're in a good spot. But can Virtus.Pro just brute force this victory? We're going to find out very soon because Kazna are in the thick of things, but so is Povel. He's down to 507. He's not exactly great for health, and Kazna have a little bit of the defilade, but Virtus.Pro, Coca-Cola and Povel looking to turn that around, and they're going to start swarming here. Hyber, Eurofish taken low. Breakneck again coming up with the goods. This guy is having a great play day, a great game to come back with. And now the 2v2 down towards the south is kicking off. And you can see Coca-Cola and Povel playing well up against Hyber and Yizny. And Coca-Cola going for one. They're trying to focus down Povel. He's a one-shot here. Hyber's coming back in for more. Clashing with Yizny. Doesn't get the shot he wants. Povel stays alive, but Yizny finally deals with him. But Kazna are down in numbers, and now they're down in tanks. Just Hyber and Yizny. And it looks like the old guard once again reclaiming their throne in the online phases as Virtus.Pro are surely going to close this one out, and it's Bishop to do the final shot. 5-3 is the end scoreline, and I don't know what to make of it. We're seeing an aggressive Virtus.Pro. It looks like they just wanted to do it, and then they just want to get it over and done with it. Like, hey, remember, you know, with Virtus.Pro, we don't mess around. You guys have to respect us because we can just push you and do this. But that's not what I expected coming out from them so early in the season. No,
that was just a massive misplay by Kazna. I mean, how they didn't realize that Virtus.Pro would be going aggressive again, or at least be pushing themselves into a good position, I have no idea. I mean, FKK Schnitzel, the rest of his team was falling back. Why didn't he fall back with them. It was absolutely no need. And when he went down, he was tracked in the middle there. It was game over. That's a whole tier 8 tank. There's nothing you can do there. And also, Eurofish and the artillery also in the wrong position. I mean, Kazna just got caught with their pants down. They didn't know that Virtus.Pro would be so aggressive and try the same audacious tactic
They're probably having flashbacks to that EL Gaming game that they had at the Grand Finals, like just crazy aggressive plays. Just they're just kind of having moments of these hot flashes, like not again. We can't handle this again. Because if a team sees a weakness, if Virtus.Pro sees that, hey, Kazna crumble a little bit under pressure, let's get in their faces. Hey, we might drop one game, but we're up 2 rounds. We've got 1 room of leeway there. Let's get in their face and just push them off their game, which. It's quite worrying. If this is a common trend, people might have just found a chink in the armor of Kazna already. Yeah,
I mean, I think we have to say like this, okay? I mean, Kazna last season when they played Virtus.Pro in the online stage got absolutely wrecked, like 5-0 or something, 5-1. So it was a pretty good outing for them, and I think they looked like a lot better team. But those last 2 rounds, I mean, Virtus.Pro just so aggressive and getting a good early advantage. But to be fair, that was. Kazna make big mistakes there, and I think they're very easily fixed. And Virtus.Pro just look like they're a strong team, but a strong team in general. But they're definitely looking weaker than in previous seasons.
I tend to agree with you. They don't look so formidable. But then again, we don't know the lay of the land just yet. There's still more games to be coming up in this season. We still have 1 more today as well, which is even the better part of things. We're not done just yet. There's more action coming your way. But before we close out this part, Melly, the people at home, they had faith in Kazna and their hearts are now in ruins. People got it wrong already.
Absolutely.
Finally.
Well, 69% for Kazna crew is a solid vote, and it turned out wrong. It happens rarely as well. It's just like... well, Virtus.Pro being behind with 31% in a team vote. So things can happen as it seems. The season has just started, and this is just a promising start of events, if you ask me. And I really can't wait how the season develops over time. People, tell me what you think about. Use the hashtag WGLEU over at Twitter to tweet us everything what's on your mind. If you have feedback for us, feel free to submit it. If you want to tell Ollie something nice, he hears stuff like that very rarely, so do so. And also, whatever, just keep us company via written letters. Isn't that nice? In our awesome studio here where we are
written letters, like paper letters.
They can also write paper letters if they want to. You can find the address of the ESL studios on our website, so if you want to send us like proper letters, do it.
Melly will read it live out on air, no matter what the contents is.
Yeah, we already got postcards.
We's a strong word.
You also got some nice stuff from Razor as well. I saw.
Steven gets some nice stuff as well. We don't get nice stuff.
Getting all sorts of presents.
Hashtag not sponsored.
No.
I mean, I see a lot of boxes like what?
Hashtag don't take bribes. I mean,
it's good life advice.
People,
it's good life advice.
I'll send you into a short break. The next team vote for the upcoming match, Panda Sports versus Strong Siema, is online. Head over to facebook.com/WGLEU and vote. And while you're doing that, we'll go into a short break and we'll be back soon.